Today, we're going to zoom in on a single really powerful moment from the Bhagavad Gita. It's this tiny little pause, a moment of complete stillness right before the absolute chaos of war is about to break loose. So I want you to just imagine the scene for a second. You're on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The air is so thick with tension you could cut it with a knife. And then the ground itself starts to tremble as the war conches from both armies are blown. This deafening, terrifying sound that signals the start of everything. You've got millions of warriors standing there, weapons drawn, just waiting for the signal. They're ready to fight for their kings, for their honor, for their lives. The energy is absolutely electric, and the momentum feels completely unstoppable. Everything is just hurtling towards this massive conflict. But right in the middle of all that chaos, one of the greatest warriors of all time, Arjuna, makes this one simple request that brings everything to a grinding halt. He turns to his charioteer, who happens to be Krishna, and just says, "Stop. Let's just pause, right here, in the middle of it all." So why this pause? What led up to this moment? Well, just a few moments earlier, the commander on the other side had been listing off all his greatest warriors. A clear show of force. The stage was absolutely set for an immediate, brutal clash. So with the battle literally seconds away from starting, the focus suddenly shifts completely. All that momentum just stops, because Arjuna wants to take one final, very deliberate look before he commits to this fight. And that brings us to the actual words that Arjuna speaks to Krishna.
Yavad etan niriksheham yodhukaman avasthitan kairmaya sahayodhavyam asmin ranasamudyame.
What he's saying is, take me between the two armies, so that I may observe these men who stand here, eager for war. I need to know who I must fight in this great battle. So what is Arjuna really asking for here? I mean, this isn't just a casual glance over at the enemy lines, right? This is a really profound request to truly see. The key word he uses is nirikshe. And this doesn't just mean to see or to look. It implies a deep, careful, close inspection. He wants to see face to face exactly who has gathered here to fight. The great philosopher Adi Shankara had a really powerful insight on this. He suggested that Arjuna's request isn't coming from a place of fear or weakness. Not yet, anyway. It's coming from a place of discernment. Arjuna wants to observe who is really prepared for this war. He wants to discern what they truly stand for. And he needs to understand the real stakes of this whole thing before he lets that first arrow fly. And honestly, Arjuna's pause right here on the battlefield, it reflects a really universal human need. It's something we've all experienced. Just think about it for a second. Before you make a huge, life-altering decision, like quitting a job or moving to a new city, or maybe entering a difficult but necessary conversation, don't you feel that overwhelming urge to just pause, to just take a breath and see everything clearly one last time? That hesitation isn't weakness. It's our search for clarity. We all instinctively know that once an action is taken, it often can't be undone. So Arjuna's moment here, it kind of teaches us that meaningful action doesn't start with the action itself. It starts with a perception that comes right before it. We have to see the situation for what it truly is before we can act wisely. But here's the thing. This moment of clarity that Arjuna is searching for, it's a total double-edged sword, because what he's about to see is going to change everything for him. He asks to see the warriors who stand against him. But when Krishna grants that request, what he actually sees are his grandfathers, his teachers, his uncles, and his cousins. And this one act of seeing is what leads directly to his famous crisis, and it's what kicks off the entire wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. We'll dive right into that in our next explainer.